gear breakdown video. This is where Puppy rides. It is also Paige's dolly. And this is her setup. You want to show us what you got?
We usually have solar sitting out here that you can use to charge your phone while it's in the bike mount here. For his bed. Not just tarps, but all of our blankets. Makes for an extra good puppy bed. In here we have 2 wool blankets and 1 fleece blanket. We have 1 smaller tarp here that goes under our tent for our footprint from getting poked.
That is the size of our large tarp. It's large enough to cover the tent or both of the dollies. The tent in case it gets extra cold. The dollies for when it really rains.
Up here I have hairbrush, a few bandanas, very multi-purpose.
The bandanas work for quite a lot. In fact, they're one of the better towels that you can use that's an ultralight towel for whenever you take a shower and you're not actually over at someone's house. Or the occasional creek bath.
Also cover up my neck when it's in the sun.
I blow my nose into them when I'm snotty.
My main headlamp, backup headlamp, 12-in-1 or Gator.
The gaiters are incredibly important. They allow us to protect our face even from the sun because they're thin enough that they'll keep the sun off of your face and prevent you from getting burnt, but they're also warm enough that they mean a lot when you have cold wind pressing up against you.
Oh yeah. Ear cover, Panama Jack hat. I absolutely love it. You don't want a floppy hat. You're always fighting the wind. Last year we had really floppy hats and we've learned our lesson. Somewhat thin gloves when it's just mildly cold. A few things on the outside of my bag. That just holds grocery bags, trash bags. That has a little backup TP in it. Jack's leash, so he's always attached here and just wrapped around here when he's on the cart. Hand sanitizer and a thermos / protein shaker. Here I have a few menstrual medical things, just some painkillers. Paige's ponytail stash. Extra pair of glasses. My favorite glasses. Chapstick.
On the side of each backpack is 1.5 liter smart water bottle.
Over here we always have bathroom stuff, wipes, and a little bit of backup wipes. Several water bladders and 2 water filters, Sawyer squeezes.
We've not used these much here in the east, but we use them quite a lot out west. You can screw it onto any of these smart water bottles or the water bladders, and all you gotta do is suck through it.
Look that like that, just a plastic bag.
They're Evernew water bladder bags. And the classic Sawyer Squeeze water bladders.
Yes. We also have a mini Sawyer squeeze. A little bit of emergency duct tape. You don't want to carry a whole roll around, so you just wrap it around a pencil. You rarely need these, but when you need them, you are so glad that you have them. Mosquito nets. That's worn over a hat so you can actually see.
It also keeps the netting off your face because it's just not quite good enough to keep all the mosquitoes out.
They would be getting me right here where it's touching. There's a bunch of mosquitoes right now. Here is our first aid. We have inhaler and Leukotape because we use it the most, handy on top.
Obviously the first aid kit is extremely important, but Paige and I aren't really the Band-Aid little boo-boos kind of people. So we have the stuff for actual emergencies here. This is an alcohol spray, and you just buy one of these bottles here and then fill it with alcohol.
Some gauze.
A roll of gauze. This is quick clotting gauze for something that's an actual traumatic bleed.
Yeah.
If you're bleeding out, you want that.
Knife wound, anything really extreme. Stuff for Jack.
Jack's flea and tick medicine. Sutures. X-Acto knives for digging out splinters.
Unpredictable things, who knows?
Yeah, those have come in handy several times.
And a few more little pieces of gauze and Band-Aids.
And super glue, because you can super glue your wounds together, and sometimes it's the best thing to do.
This is basically our tool bag. This is Jack's heavy duty chain, because if you leave him on his normal kind of cloth leash, he will chew through it eventually, so.
Well, just the moment he decides to. It takes him about 30 seconds to get through a leash, but he doesn't normally try.
Covered metal, which he has too. We have several more bungees.
Often for securing the dollies in the back of a vehicle. And they're also useful for setting up makeshift rain shelters. When you're camped out in one location for a while, and it's raining or you're waiting out the rain, it's nice to have something to actually hang out under, and those bungees will allow you to make a thing.
Paracord strap like Torn has around his cooler. Extra bearings for our wheels, which are more likely to give before any other part of the tire because we have no flats. Will you tell them what those are from? Because I don't know.
Oh, they're just nuts and washers and oh, the cotter pins.
Yeah.
The cotter pins hold the wheels in place.
A random little clip that I'm sure will come up handy someday.
It has actually come in handy. We used to bundle our tarps up and
We're always changing the setup, especially season to season. Might have a slightly different setup in the summer.
Letterman. It's the piece that holds the bearings themselves on the back tires.
And the innards. My clothes.
My clothes.
Our clothing bags are also our pillows. Bathroom bag. We share one deodorant. We would share one toothpaste, but I have special toothpaste. A few Q-tips, toothbrush and tongue scraper, one bar of soap, my extra eyeglass case for the ones I'm wearing right now, menstrual thing, hair clippers, and what do they call it? Safety razor,
Mm-hmm.
and several actual blades. This is all of our cords and charger boxes. Warren's lovely Carhartt.
This is the second warmest Carhartt that you can buy. It's the extreme weather Carhartt.
Although we haven't got to test it for the actual winter yet.
But it's been good in 20-degree nights so far.
Laptop case that doesn't have a laptop. And here we have our waterproof phone case. So when it's raining, we can still navigate, take pictures, whatever. And in here is my homemade game, Dark Soul Splendor. And if we ever get like papers or cards or something like that, we can at least keep that. We can't keep most things, but little sentimental things once in a while I'll put in here because it's all paper. Our little paper chess game.
I forgot about that.
Put this on for a while. Backup tire for Paige. For just these wheels are this size, and all of the 6 other wheels are this size.
And that is a cheap backup wheel. That's basically our donut. I'm not very fond of it. Don't want to use it.
Tough popper. For bathroom emergencies while you're in a tent.
Or just for using the bathroom while you're in a tent. Let's be honest, it's not usually an emergency. That's just what you do.
If you're in a public space and there's no woods to go in and no actual bathroom. Wouldn't usually tell people about this on the first date, but since we're doing gear.
This is one of the things that you have to deal with on the journey. Woke up one morning to have this chewed through, this wonderful pocket right here. So now I'm using this in place of the pocket. Some rodent of some kind decided that they wanted the water flavor packets, which were in here and unopened, and somehow they still smelled them.
Highly caffeinated packets. I'm sure they had a fun night.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Over here on this one, there is a rainfly. This rainfly in particular, it actually goes over these sleeping pads on top because we have a rainfly, which you'll see right here. It goes over the backpack itself. Then we have a rainfly, which goes over this. Each backpack has its own rainfly. The two rainflies can be seen here in the top of this bag. And then this is Jack's raincoat, and then these are our raincoats. We're on our 6th iteration of rain gear. That's because we just can't find anything, whether it's REI, Columbia, Work Gear, or Frog Togs, that will withstand a couple of 8-hour days worth of rain. So these are the heavy-duty PVC coated old school slicker raincoats, and hopefully they're going to work out. They've done well so far. Up here in the top of the bag, we have another gator. This is my sunglasses case. Paige doesn't wear sunglasses, but I do. A couple of gloves. Another headlamp. Right here on top, these are cheap Walmart foldable sleeping pads. And that's because foam is foam, and if it's sturdy enough, it's not worth spending $200 on a foam sleeping pad. Another solar, like Paige has. And it's a solar with a battery bank on it, which is a pretty important feature. That way we can charge it up when we make it to a house, but we can also charge
And a
it.
flashlight.
Yes, and it has a flashlight on the back. This holds the cooler and everything together. That way, if you start tipping on the side of a hill, you've got a little bigger window of time before this really turns over. This is a knockoff Yeti. It's the Walmart version, also because they're basically about the same, and it is done marvelously in the heat of the sun. Also inside of here is a 1-gallon water jug, which we use instead of bags of ice because it takes a much longer time to unthaw a full 1 gallon. Here we just have some Ziploc bags for food storage or other things that they might come in useful for. Got a map of Alabama right here, just in case the service goes.
The signal is not the best down here.
That's true. Paige's coat. Should I model it for you?
No, you'll rip the sleeves. This is a legendary whitetails coat. It has some Sherpa wool, and it had amazing reviews. People have talked about wearing it in -40, so we'll find out this winter how good it really is. And I think it's going to be great. The material is great. There's no freeze or anything. Very, very warm.
It came in better condition than my Carhartt did. You know, you
Yeah.
find little snags and stray threads here and there. This had, it was just clean.
And very reasonably priced for the quality, I think. Underrated legendary whitetails.
This is our cooking side pocket, which we're using less and less. Spatula, can opener, spoon, some seasonings, salt, garlic powder, and black pepper.
Mini spatula.
Spoons and forks. We also have a lighter, matches,
Backup waterproof matches.
2 lighters. On this side, we have our tent stakes, but we don't carry the tent stakes that other people carry because we just like being different. We actually carry carriage bolts for the most part, and there's an assortment of other things that we've just come across along the way. Some
Yeah.
tent stakes that came with the new tent, but for the most part we go after the carriage bolts because they bite into the ground more due to the threading. And they're extremely cheap. They're much cheaper than tent stakes. They're still pretty lightweight,
And they have a really good surface to hammer them into.
which leads us to the next point.
And they don't bend when you hammer them as easily.
They do not bend as easily as tent stakes, that's right. And we carry a hammer. This seems like excess weight at first glance, but it has been a lifesaver. You know, there are a lot of places that you come to that just are impossible. They don't have rocks, and yet the ground seems to only be rock, and so you can't get your stake into it. And that hammer has been a lifesaver so many times. I mean, it really just, you wouldn't think it, but the hammer is incredible. So useful. And it allows you to pull the sticks out of the ground more easily.
It also comes in handy when you're replacing the bearings to be able to punch the bearings out of the tire to replace them.
Yes, the hammer is also necessary. The hammer, as well as the carriage bolts, they're used as a punch to press the bearings out of the wheels. Jack's hat. This is my buzz cutter for my hair because I do my own hair. I just buzz it with 2 size guards. This is the electrical tape that we use to repair mishaps with the sign. This contains batteries and a couple of cheap microphones that we use for video recording.
And tweezers and nail clippers.
Forsat tent. It's a pretty cheap tent, and it has been incredible. I've spent several $100s on a tent in the past that still wasn't totally waterproof. The polyurethane coating wore out on it. These things run strong. We've lived inside of one for up to 6 months and still no leaks.
Yeah, 6 months of living in it every day, and it was a zipper that gave before anything else.
It was the zipper that gave, but it's still 6 months. 6 months, $70 to $80.
Yeah, if you're actually living in it and it lasts 6 months, if we were hiking once in a while, like most people, it could last years, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Also, bear spray. Not for bears very often, but for dogs. Because they are abundant, and they come in packs, and they will chase you down, and they will try to get you and eat your family. Especially in the South. These are Jack's food bowls. The larger one being for food, and the smaller one being for water. This is a bag of winter gear. We'll show you this when we get to the close. Cooking supplies. We're going to move to carrying only one of these 1-pound propane canisters. 2 just seems to be unnecessary at this point. And then we have a couple of little pocket stoves. Cheap Walmart pocket stoves, very functional. Everything this size burns a hole in the middle of your food.
Oh, they also have an adapter for either the butane mix or just propane.
These are a couple of copper bottom pieces of cookware. This unfolds to support the propane. Paige's coffee mug. One waterproof bag. This is in case we have a really long distance to go. We can fill up those water bladders over there, as opposed to what we might only be able to carry in the cooler, pack even more water, because you need an enormous amount of water if you're going to be 4 days between towns. And here we have a bag of hot hands. Hot hands are the difference between getting a good night's rest and staying awake because of cold feet. These two are lifesavers. So the sign has become fairly iconic for the Walking America couple. They're actually made out of high-density polyethylene that we cut and shaped ourselves. It's stuff that you can buy at certain department stores like Menards. The letters themselves are actually made out of black electrical tape. Paige's Construction, she did an incredible job. And then these are just print-offs that have been laminated. But the entire sign itself is waterproof, and it's withstood a lot of rain. The whole dolly is made so that it can collapse and be packed up into a vehicle for times that we need to get shipped out. This comes off. It's been made to slide on and off the dolly itself. The tires are no flats. It means it makes it a little bit more difficult to push, but you couldn't do it without no flats. On the back here, the handlebars come out, and underneath This is the area that's been welded. Originally, these were only made to accommodate caster wheels, but we've had them welded to fit larger wheels. The dollies are rated for 600 pounds, and some people who have walked across the country, they typically use either jogger strollers or they use dog strollers, but their main complaint is that they're not durable enough, that they end up having a lot of failures, and the dollies really seem to have been the right way to go. It does amount to us having a bit more of a difficult push along the way, but that is what Paige and I are often making the trade for. You notice the wool blankets, you notice some of the gear that we pack. We're trying to pack rugged, durable things so that we can survive any circumstance and we don't have to worry about our gear failing us. And sometimes the more durable stuff is the cheaper stuff. It's the old school stuff, it's the work gear, it's not the fancy ultralight things.
So we have very few outfits. Right now I'm wearing one of my summer shorts, sun layers to cover from the sun so we don't use sunscreen. These are more winter pants. Three pairs of underwear, 2 pairs of shorts. In total, 3 pairs of pants. Summer tank top. Another crop top or underlayer. My second flannel sun shirt. Wool socks. And then 3 other pairs of socks. Cold weather long sleeve. Winter layer.
I think I would call it a thermal underlayer.
Those are full-on winter pants. They're water resistant. They'll be great for the snow or cold rain. A lot warmer. Fleece line. Our lovely winter hats.
With face mask.
I think they're gonna be quite warm. It's cozy. A big fat pair of gloves. Actual cold weather.
And what you got down there?
The most important piece of gear we have is our shoes. Right now I'm wearing Carolinas. I've been wearing them for I think about 3 months. They're all leather, waterproof. The tread is still holding up pretty good. Oh, it's filled with mud right now. But I expect them to last quite a bit longer. Mine have held up wonderfully. Torin had the same pair, but he has an odd walking pattern, so they worn much, much quicker.
Personally, the Carolinas are the most rugged and durable piece of footwear that I've had on the entire journey. I curse my horrible walking pattern. If it weren't for that, I would still be sporting them. The uppers on the Carolinas are second to none. They are just the best uppers I've seen on boots. You know, the Ariats that I have currently are nice, but they are not of the same quality
like
as the
stitching.
Carolina. My clothes. A pair of stretchy Wranglers sun shirt. It's not made out of flannel material. All of the sun shirts that you see me in are very thin. We typically opt for button-up sun shirts over, let's say, this style sun shirt, because you have the ability to regulate your temperature just based on the number of buttons that you've got done or undone. Underwear, 2 pairs, 3 pairs. This is normally my sleeping shirt. It's technically a sun shirt, but I never use it as a sun shirt. I much prefer the thin flannels. And it's also a cold weather underlayer. Breezy, comfy sleeping pants, which are on their last leg. They need to be retired very soon because they're starting to look pretty gross. One single pair of shorts. Sun shirt. I've got 1 pair of wolves for the cold weather, and then these are just normally moisture wicking work socks. And finally, winter pants. Much like Paige's, water resistant, fleece lined, intended for very cold weather. They will overheat you while you're walking. Might never wear them during the day. And then I have the clothes that I have on. Just another sun shirt, another underlayer. The high vis comes in handy since I lead the pack. The conditions are a little less clear. Maybe it's getting dark or something like that. Standard jean material. The hat. And it's just a wool fedora. That's nothing really special about it, but it is getting harder to find wool fedoras. If the sun hits the side of your face, you can flip it.
What else occurred?
The great thing about the wool is that it seems like, you know, in the summer, even though it's warm, the temperature tops out. Like, you don't continue to get hot. If you had leather, your head would just get hotter and hotter. The wool kind of halts the heat's progress. And then in the winter, it's just warm. The boots are Ariats. We always wear high top leather boots. And that's because it will snap your ankle back into place. If you go to roll your ankle, they're waterproof and they protect you from all sorts of stuff that you have to deal with when you go to the bathroom in the woods, like thorns. Out here in Alabama, there's a wall of thorns functioning as the entryway to every forested area. That's our gear.
It's spread out better than I thought it would. I thought it would cover the whole tarp.
Yeah, I thought it would cover the whole tarp too. Now we just gotta pack it all up.
Yay!
Yay!